very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch, a show that gives you all the latest news and updates from the digital ecosystem. I'm Shreyas Shibulal. Thank you very much for logging in. Time now to get you all the top news stories that we've been tracking for you this evening. Well, first up, Walmart-owned Flipkart and payment app PhonePe continue to experience strong growth in the first quarter of 2021-2022 in the Indian market. Now, Walmart President and CEO Doug McMillon said that at Flipkart, monthly active users and consumers are the key metrics, and these are performing very well. Moving on to the second headline of the day, online fashion portal Myntra has rolled out a slew of supportive measures to help its brand partners navigate through the pandemic. It is offering all of its 2,000 brand partners special COVID-19 insurance with a coverage of up to 3 lakh rupees. It's also reimbursing COVID-19 vaccination costs for all partners and 2 of their family members. Well, Tiger Global is all set to lead a $20 million round for Rishi Vasudev Thrasio-styled venture Goat Brand Labs. Now, Goat Brand Labs will acquire lifestyle brands and help them build as well as grow online. Moving on to the final headline of the day, reports suggest that the government may form a fresh panel of experts to study the possibility of regulating cryptocurrency in India. The new committee's ambit could be to explore the use of blockchain for technological enhancement and suggest ways to regulate cryptos as digital assets instead of a currency. The committee may also be asked to study ways to operationalize the Reserve Bank of India's proposed digital rupee. Well, moving on to our second segment, I have with me someone who has been working in the electric vehicle space. I have with me Shreyas Shibulal, who has been working with Micelio. Thank you very much, Shreyas, for joining us today. I want to begin by asking you, you are at Micelio are across 4 business verticals. The last couple of months have been challenging, not only for the EV industry, but overall in the economic front as well. So for Micelio, between these 4 segments, which segment has been doing well for you, and where are you seeing maximum traction?
I think, first of all, thank you for having me. I think, the challenges exist across the board, across all 4 verticals, and I would also go for so far as to say across all industries. So, if you look at our 4 verticals, with our fund and our kind of product development facility, there's obviously a much greater need for capital for some of these startups now to keep going. So we're getting a lot more traction there. A lot more people are approaching us for funding. It's always been good. We've probably spoken to more than 150 startups in the last 2 years. And our product development facility, the Discovery Studio, obviously there have been challenges with regards to people coming in, using the facility. It's a public space, so that keeping everyone safe has been a challenge. I think while the cases were low a couple of months ago, we were able to see a significant amount of traction. Now obviously things have changed. With our more kind of commercial ventures, which are Lightning Logistics and our product development team, I think Lightning Logistics being a last mile logistics provider, we've seen a lot more demand for it now as we've gone into lockdown. And even before going into lockdown, we've people have obviously been working from home and not been stepping out as much as possible. So there's a much greater demand there. There are challenges there with keeping our riders also safe. During even though there's a pressure for demand, we also have to ensure that our riders are safe. So there's that challenge over there. And with our product development team, we're looking at developing our own form factor for last mile logistics vehicle. I think overall, in this industry, I think the challenge has been sourcing certain components that's actually required for that process. So broadly, I think not just our companies, but also the industry in general.
If you look at the lightning logistics model that you're working on, in terms of the overall growth and traction in 2021, what is the kind of strategy that you're going to be following? Because clearly this sector is hot and last mile logistics is going to be something that is going to significantly grow
Yeah,
even in
yeah.
this.
So, what we have, we in the last, almost 2 years, now what we've done is, we've introduced our service into three cities in South India. So we're in Bangalore, Chennai, and Hyderabad, and we're still very much in the pilot stage because we still have maybe under 1,000 vehicles right now on the road, predominantly two wheelers. And what we've also started experimenting with is other vehicle form factors like electric three wheelers, something that we started recently. Broadly, our trajectory for growth is trying to increase our presence in the cities that we're already experimenting in, but also uh, also start our services in other cities, potentially tier 3 as well, to see how the conditions there are different, and if we can actually capture a market um, which has probably an untapped potential and that no one is really looking at right now. So broadly, that's how we are thinking that we'll grow. Tackling a new city. Typically, we go in with a pilot customer, which probably be an existing one. But that's usually that's how we see ourselves growing in the next year.
So will you be collaborating with a larger player, like for instance, an Amazon or a Myntra or a Flipkart, for this last mile delivery? How would you go about this process?
So typically, when we go into a new city, we like to go in with some kind of anchor customer. So that's really the mode of engagement, and then we see from there how we can get more business. So yeah, typically, we would want to partner with someone when we're entering a new city. Yeah.
On the corpus that you have, the seed fund for the various startups that you're speaking with, what has been the kind of investment pipeline that you have for this year? And over and above the corpus that you've put in at this point in time, I believe it's a personal wealth corpus that you've created at this point. Will you be reaching out to external investors as well to increase the kind of corpus that you have, considering that you're getting so many more inquiries in the space?
So I think for this fund in particular, I think it's definitely it's the uh, the the corpus is coming from the family, and I don't think that's something that we're going to change, at least for this fund. um, and I think maybe in this year we'll look at another maybe four investments is what we're thinking. And as far as the increased demand and bringing external investors, something that we're thinking about. We haven't necessarily chosen a direction to go in, but any of those kind of ideas we'd probably save it for the next fund if we have one. So that's how we're thinking about it right now.
I was reading somewhere that you've interned with Tesla in the past. So I wanted to understand what kind of learnings would you bring to the Indian market, considering that EV is still a very nascent, part of the overall ecosystem at present. So what kind of learnings from Tesla would you bring into the market in India, from your perspective?
So I think the market that Tesla is looking at, and the kinds of vehicles they produce is very different from perhaps what we are looking at, and the condition of the Indian market. And I think one thing is abundantly clear that the Indian to actually make that transition uh, to electric vehicles in India, I think we definitely need more homegrown solutions which are really tailor made for our population, right? And I think Tesla obviously did a great job the markets that they were looking at, and I think we are also doing something similar for the markets that we are targeting, which is which later on maybe other developing, other emerging markets around the world. So that's one. But another thing is that we I think this space is so nascent, and it's at this point in time. I think it's really going to be about collaboration, and really kind of bringing in different components and different strengths from different parts of the industry, because the industry is, it's there. You find different strengths in different areas. Like there are well established OEMs which have their experience in actually manufacturing and mass bringing a vehicle to market. We have startups who are really working on the commercialization side of bringing innovative new ideas, and also the indigenization, right? And then we also have perhaps some of our universities who are really working on the cutting edge kind of technologies, right? So I think it's going to be for India in particular. I think it's really going to be finding where those strengths are in our kind of ecosystem, and putting it together to to actually make that transition to electric vehicles.
A final question before I let you go. Do you consult with your father on strategic decisions, considering that he has been out there in the field for so many years and really driving the growth of a very big IT company? So, what kind of words of wisdom do you get from him?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I've there are multiple entrepreneurs in the family, and I do consult with them quite regularly. Uh, I think one thing um, that he's probably taught me in my journey is that this usually the kind of person to actually take a time and think through things very before making a decision. But I think he's he's also taught me the value as kind of taking a decision. There's you set aside some time to think, but at some point you have to make a decision, and you have to just take it in that direction. And that's probably something that he's taught me that's been quite valuable in my journey.
All right, Shreyas. Many thanks for joining us today on the Daily Dispatch, and we will best with this video going forward. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, time now to wrap up this edition of the Daily Dispatch. I'll catch you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Goodbye and stay safe.